Welcome back. Your time right now is 6:27. More students across the province and the GTA going back to school as the fourth wave of COVID-19 continues. So what's being done to keep kids and educators safe and to give a peace of mind to some parents here? Joining me now live, Education Minister Stephen Lecce. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Nice to be with you.
Good to have you here. Let's get right to it. Kids going back to the classroom. And as a parent, there's anxiety there. We're happy to see them go. Educators are happy to go back and to do this in person, but there are a lot of question marks. You've repeatedly said that these settings, schools are safe. Schools are safe. Knowing what we know about the virus, I just want to ask you right off the bat, do you still believe that? Do you believe schools are safe?
Well, the Chief Medical Officer of Health of Ontario, Dr. Moore, yesterday was asked about that. And he did believe we have a world-class safety program in place to help keep our students and staff as safe as possible. And I think the greatest intervention we could have made as a government and as a people was investing heavily in air ventilation. So obvious that the emerging evidence is clear that could help reduce the risk within our schools for our kids. And so we've added $600 million of investment, 2,000 projects for HVAC, and over 70,000 HEPA units into the classrooms of your child as we speak for this September. And that's going to make a difference, Melanie. I know the confidence of Dr. Moore, based on our plan, the fact that we are masking indoors, we've increased the cleaning within our schools, and obviously providing better options, quicker options for parents to get results on those tests, including take-home tests, which is, I think, an interesting innovation to make life a bit easier for parents and staff. These are the types of things that keep schools safe. We have a plan in place. We expect it to be implemented, and we know our partners on the ground, including our educators, will do everything they can to keep these kids safe.
Minister, I'd say everything that you mentioned there are definitely great starts. The one thing that hasn't changed are class sizes. We had a number of people tweeting us yesterday, even teachers saying, hi, I teach kindergarten. I have well over 20 students in my class. Distancing is definitely not a possibility. Why not do that? Why not change class sizes to be able to help as, again, a tool in the toolbox to help with safety?
For sure. I actually agree. I think distancing is critical. It's why we added $384 million of net funding from this province for schools to hire more staff to achieve the distancing we were able to achieve in the past. And of course, to hire additional staffing, be it mental health workers or custodians, to keep the schools in a better environment for the kids. Staff distancing is important. The sick kids and the Ontario Science Table report suggest distancing is one action government should take, which we did. In addition to masking indoors, obviously with the enhancements of air ventilation, all of these steps together, as the Chief Medical Officer confirmed yesterday when asked that very question, can help ensure our kids remain safe. And a big part of our plan is also focused on mental health promotion, making sure that there are resources in place to help those kids who maybe aren't able to adjust quickly back into this in-person experience. I want every child to know we have supports in place for them, including learning gaps, Melanie, because I'm self-aware. In reading, in math, we've seen regression, and we want those kids to have the supports, including teacher-led tutoring, to help them bridge those gaps and get into the next year with a sense of confidence that they can learn and get through the curriculum.
Let's talk about vaccinations. We're looking at two areas here. Those who can be vaccinated, so turning 12 and above, and those who cannot. Do you believe that COVID-19 vaccinations should be part of mandatory vaccinations, as we've seen in those very yellow cards that need to be turned in by parents in order for kids to go to school? Should COVID-19 vaccines be added to the list? We've heard a number of school boards call for it, including the TDSB.
Yeah, with respect to student vaccines, I do believe while we continue to encourage vaccines, it's critical that everyone who's eligible get a vaccine. We've made that clear. We just launched school-based vaccine clinics within our schools and near our schools to encourage, to incent, to reduce the barriers to immunization for the student, staff, and their families. We obviously are going to continue to consult, work with the Chief Medical Officer of Health on any decisions we make going forward. But he believes that given the work we have done with over 75% first doses, now the 12 to 18 age bracket, Melanie, has more immunized individuals than the 18 to 29. And as you can appreciate, that group was eligible for the vaccine much before our youngest learners. We have made a massive stride in getting people vaccinated. We can do so on a voluntary basis in the current context. And obviously, we'll work with the medical officers of health, pediatric hospitals, to look at other ways we can support immunization for our kids. But we have a high rate of uptake. We're proud of that, and we're going to continue to work on the last mile to get to that 80%. Keep pushing the system to get people vaccinated.
Okay, so I mean, possibly we can revisit this conversation, and this is something different. I have two questions left for you, and I've got about a minute left. One, the threshold for keeping schools open. We all would like to keep these schools open. What are the numbers that you're looking at? What sort of metrics are there for everyone to know whether doors are open or doors are closed?
Sure. The Chief Medical Officer of Health has said his intention and his belief, given the high rate of immunization in our society, the fact that so many parents are immunized, that cocooning principle, it helps to protect the kids, particularly those unvaccinated. He believes we should be able to avoid that scenario. Our intention is to keep schools open. We're going to follow the medical advice. The Chief Medical Officer of Health, Dr. Moore, is on this and is committed to keeping schools open and safe. We work closely with him, and obviously looking at metrics that include hospitalization, ICU. These are the types of data points that will really inform any decisions for schools and for broader actions by government. But we do believe our school system is as safe as possible, and we will do anything and everything encouraged and required by public health to keep these schools safe.
Minister, finally for you, a personal question.
Sure.
I was disgusted to hear of some protesters who were staked outside of your home, in your neighborhood, in your personal space, and threatening your safety. And we've seen, unfortunately, these trends. We've seen with Liberal leader Trudeau, hecklers and people throwing items. This is unacceptable. And I know you're very encouraging when it comes to if you want to protest, do it outside of Queen's Park, do it outside of your constituency office. I want to get your take on what that's like to be a target, regardless of politics, what it's like to be a target, a personal target.
Yeah, look, I don't want to make it about me. I just will say we have people who come to this country aspiring for a free, liberal democracy where we can agree and disagree, and that civility has been Canada's strength. When you disagree, intimidating individuals, private citizens, and neighbors, it just isn't right. It's not the Canada I think we all know and love. What's happening to our federal leaders, our municipal leaders, the Mayor of Toronto, I mean, these are things that should not be taking place. And I encourage people to use their voice, to speak up. I know so many parents are passionate on issues like vaccines and masks, et cetera. But there is a place, there is a time. And I wouldn't suggest it's in my home, in my community, or my neighbors feel intimidated. But obviously, my priority as Minister of Education today is just to continue to stay focused on students, on safety, and on open schools, and that's what I'm going to do. I do appreciate the question, but I know there's a lot of young people out there that want me not to lose sight of what's important right now, which is their safety and their learning.
Minister Lecce, I appreciate you taking the time. A lot to talk about here, and indeed, we'll check back in throughout the school year. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
All right, it is 6:35. We took a little bit more time in that interview, but hopefully you got some answers out of that. We are going to take a quick break here on BT. Actually, just joking. I think we're going to Frankie.